everybody. This is Starting Out Bright, and I am so glad you're here. I am Noreen Savage, and just to introduce myself in case we have not met before, to tell you a little bit about who I am and who I'm not. First of all, I am nobody official with Bright Line Eating, but the program has done a lot for me, and I got acquainted with it through a friend who posted on Facebook. At her 1 year mark, she stated that she had lost 57 pounds with this program called Bright Line Eating. Anybody interested could just give her a shout. So my hot little fingers got over to Messenger as fast as they could to find out the scoop. And my friend's name is Lori, and she proceeded to tell me about a book by Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson called Bright Line Eating. And in the book is described 4 bright lines that you don't cross. No sugar, no flour, 3 meals a day, and weighed and measured portions. And when I heard all that, I was sunk. I thought there is absolutely no way that I could do that. But where was I? I was at 270 pounds, 5'2". I had dieted for at least 2 decades. And I was experiencing a huge amount of swollenness in my feet. I was snoring every night, waking up my husband every single night. And I hated that. And just a lot of health issues that were happening. In fact, like with the sleep apnea and snoring, there were many times that I didn't know if I would wake up in the morning. So I was not in a good spot. And with my health, it was starting to affect me with all of this extra weight. So in short, my friend and I got together for lunch, and I learned more, and I became more receptive to at least exploring what this was about. She suggested I get into a group called We Eat Bright with Lines. It's a Facebook group, still going strong. There are many other groups, including Starting Out Bright, associated with this chat. You'll find out about Bright Movers, which is Linnea's Facebook group for exercising. And there are many, many other groups. But I got in the one, and I just sat and watched as people were transforming their lives. People losing weight, like a lot of weight, not just 10 or 20 pounds that I was doing every couple months and then gaining back. They were losing 50 pounds, 100 pounds, 150. And I was just enamored. I was amazed at their stories. And so I promised myself that if I did this, I would do what Lori did. At my 1 year, I would post on Facebook, and I would help anybody that I could. Well, I got started, and the year was up in July 2020. And I was sitting right back in that chair thinking, what am I going to post? I made this promise, I'm going to do it. And I'm a Christian, and I felt God saying, Noreen, you can do more than that. You could connect these people you've been watching and reading and seeing their stories, watching their photos then and now. If you could just share those stories with those who needed the help and the hope, like I did when I got started, wouldn't that be great? But who would come? Who would share their story? Well, I'll tell you who comes. It's people like Linnea, who has a heart of gold and willing to share on a daily basis. And you'll find out more as we get going. But for now, that's enough about me. And welcome, Linnea. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be chatting with you.
So glad you're here. We got together the other night, and it was just great to get to know each other. But now all the world wants to hear a little bit more about your story. So let's get started. But, and first of all, it's not looked at as the easiest thing in the world to do. So what brought you to Bright Line Eating to actually make that move for yourself?
Yes. Okay. So I discovered I was a food addict before I found Bright Line Eating. That's actually what brought me to Bright Line Eating, was the fact that it was a food addiction recovery program. I had yo-yo dieted for years and years, and I lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight. Um, I had done that for years and years and years. I got married and realized after I got married how kind of destructive my eating patterns were. Because I was then living with someone else and he was watching me and how I ate and my behaviors, I got very self-conscious about my food choices and my food behaviors. And so they got worse because I started hiding. Um, it was kind of our love language together to like eat junk food on Friday night in front of a movie and all of this. But I would, I would hide wrappers from him. I would eat in the car. On the way home and like shove wrappers down places and try and get them in the trash can without him seeing. I would swing by home, like before getting home, swing by fast food restaurants or go to a gas station and get something before I would get home. And then it started carrying over to work. I realized I was going into work and boy, so I'm a nurse. And when I was in the hospital at the time, the nurses' stations would just be covered in food. Families from people that were in the hospital sick would bring us treats. Doctors would order pizza and just have it like the break room would just be, there was constantly, like every other day, it felt like they were doing a potluck and people were bringing things. And I was just mentally tormented by being surrounded by food. And I was constantly thinking, how do I get more food without people noticing? It was constant. Like I couldn't do my work. I would go into the break room and have a normal amount of things, but then I would find my way into there at least 15 times in a shift. I would put food in my pockets and go into the bathroom and eat in the bathroom because I didn't want people to see what I was eating. It was intense. And I was watching myself do all this. And I knew it was bonkers. Like, this can't be normal. And I just felt tormented. I felt like imprisoned by my food thoughts. And I, tried so many things. And I had been successful. I lost weight, but then I gained it all back. And then I gained some more. And then I lost weight again. And I was dealing with infertility when we first got married. I worked really hard to lose weight. And I did. And I got pregnant and then gained all the weight back. But I was in a Bible study with two of my best friends here in town. And I remember just one night just pouring out my heart. I hadn't told anybody, like nobody knew the torment I lived in. They're both slender people. They're probably 1 or 2s on the susceptibility scale, both of them. Like they had no idea. And I just started sharing all of that, how trapped I felt, how like I'm constantly thinking, if I'm not thinking about what can I get to eat, it's what have I eat? What do I need to exercise to get this off? What should I not be eating? How are my clothes fitting? What's the next diet I'm going on? But before I have my diet, what can I binge on? And I just unloaded in them, and they looked at me, and they just, with so much love and care and compassion, they affirmed to me that this was bonkers. Like they just had no idea. And they just kept saying, I'm so sorry. That sounds like torture. And I was like, you know what? It kind of is like torture. And so my friend, she said, well, have you ever heard of bright line eating? And I was like, no, never heard of it. I've done every diet under the sun and I've never heard of this one. Well, she was a social media manager of this guy that did bright line eating years and years ago, no longer chunky. He had a blog and a website, and he like shared his journey on bright line eating. He lost like 150 pounds. And she was his social media manager back before that was cool. And so I looked it up and I was like, oh my word, no way. No. I'm not doing this. This is insane. I'm not giving up sugar. I'm not giving up flour, only eating through like this. I immediately went into this sounds like disordered eating. And I read some reviews that like are like, this promotes disordered eating. And I'm like, I don't want to be a food addict and have a food like eating disorder. I was like, I stayed away. And when I heard Susan say that, no, you should not exercise, I was like, because that's how I did a lot of exercise losing weight in the past, even though it never really got me all the way down and it didn't keep it off. Like,
I've heard of some saying they were either binge eating or binge exercising.
Right. Yes.
That
It's such
there
a real
was
thing.
no middle ground.
Yes.
But so you got a taste and you've already self-diagnosed that you're some
yes.
kind of an addict.
Right.
And this is before this term was floating around.
It was, yes, I didn't even know it existed. I just thought I was making this up. Like, and then I did finally do some looking and I'm like, okay, so food addiction might be a thing. But then I saw a friend on, this was all during lockdown, still during COVID. I saw a friend lose like 50 pounds and get really healthy using intuitive eating. And I was like, well, that seems better because I can still eat my junk food and my, my poison.
You'll think your way out.
Yes. So I got the book, I read the book, I started with the plan. And in the first chapter, they said food addiction is not real. And I was like, what? Like, that's not, no, it is. Like, I'm living this. How can you tell me what? I'm like, the way I act with food is absolutely addiction. But I was like, I'm going to give it a try. Well, I gained 30 pounds in a month and a half. 45 days, gained 30 pounds. And at that point, I was just broken. It was the absolute worst my brain has ever been in my life. Incredibly depressed. I was just engulfed in food. I was stopping every single day I was blowing through so much money, right? Like, and then I was like, you know what? That bright line eating thing seemed like super intense and extreme, but I'm living in an extreme situation right now, and I'm going to try something extreme. So I went online, I looked it up. I saw the boot camp and I was like, ooh, I don't think I can. I was too ashamed to ask my husband what he thought because I'd spent so much money on food and on diets before that I was like, okay, well, I can do $15 for the 14-day challenge. So I did that and I never looked back.
14-day challenge you were in.
Mm-hmm.
So you got started.
Binged the content and got the food plan and started the next day. I barely remembered to take before pictures. And I just started the next day and I didn't tell anyone this time. I told my two friends a couple weeks later. But this time I was like, I need to just do this for me. And I'm going to just put my nose down and I just went and I started seeing results and I just kept going and kept going and kept going. So.
I know before we got started tonight, you said it was over the 1,000-day mark. So it's past 3 years. And
no, it'll be 3 years in November.
Okay, November you got started. Okay, so the 14-day challenge, that took you to what? Like you got the book too then, or
not for like 5 months, 5 or 6 months. I literally just for like 5 months just did bright light eating based off of the little bit of information I had with the 14-day challenge and the food plan. And that's all. And then, so when I was a 3 or 4 months in, I should go back and look. But I created a brand new independent, from my own, a new Instagram page. And I was like, my food is so pretty. I was just so impressed at making real food look pretty. I love aesthetically pleasing things. I love things that are pretty. And I liked making my food pretty. And I was like, I wanted to share how pretty my food is. And I just wanted to capture it. So it was kind of like a food document or visual food journal.
Now, is this the healthy looks good
on you? Looks good on you. Yeah. My mom always used to say that whenever I would lose weight, she would never tell me like I looked thin or whatever. She always just said, healthy, because when I would gain weight, it would blow up in my face. And as within a week or two of eating healthy and clean, my face would lean down. And she would always just say, healthy looks good on you, Linnea.
Oh, that's so sweet to hear the background of that.
Yeah.
So you got into the Instagram really to document your food. For
Yep.
your own sake.
For my own sake. And I was
Okay.
like, I'll make it public and I started looking for other bright line eating posts out there because I had seen some in my own and I was like, other people are doing this. I want to do a food, like a journal, like a visual food journal. So I would post my pictures of my food with what I ate. And then it was great because I would scroll back when I was doing meal planning, be like, oh, that looks good. I'll put that on my meal plan tomorrow. And so it was just this great like visual food journal. And that's what it started out at, but it has grown to be so much more. And it's just really blessed me beyond belief.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit because the other night, when we were talking, I don't know if you said that you were talking about tofu or something, and I said, well, are you like plant-based then? And then you described that there was a time that you were pretty much plant-based, but
Yeah.
you had to stop for a bit. Can you
Mhm.
talk about that?
Yes. So I have most of my life was just a regular old standard American diet eater. I ate all the things without vegetables and beans. It was just meat and potatoes and all of the things. And then in part of my yo-yo dieting, I discovered whole food plant-based. And so I tried that in some of my yo-yo dieting, but I really loved it. Like from the medical side, the health side, I really loved what it did. It actually, I don't think I told you this, Noreen, it actually healed my hormones. I
Oh,
went from having super irregular periods to having regular menstrual cycles going plant-based. Um,
oh,
yeah, so it did really wonders for my physical health. So I'd been whole food plant-based mostly before I started Bright Line Eating. And when I started Bright Line Eating, I did it mostly plant-based, and I kind of would go off and on dairy, sometimes just cheese. But I was mostly plant-based. And then as about a year into my Bright Line Eating journey, my gut had major, major, major issues. I was horribly bloated. I was having massive issues with having to make multiple trips to the bathroom multiple times a day, having urgency, worried about having accidents, like really awful gut stuff. And right about that time, not too long after that, I started working at a functional medicine clinic. I moved from Western medicine to functional medicine. And the doctor really helped me and discovered I had SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So I had to, so with that, one of the part of the treatment is going on a low FODMAP diet. So FODMAP, FODMAP. It stands for a few different kinds of carbohydrates. So fermentable, oligosaccharide, disaccharide, I don't remember what they all stand for. They're big, long words. But really what it comes down to is no beans of any kind, no legumes, and limited vegetables and limited fruits. So these are a huge staple in Bright Line eating, right? In the way we eat. And especially as a whole food plant-based eater, it turned my world upside down. I was like, what am I going to do for protein?
right.
And meats are a very low FODMAP, which I needed to eat low FODMAP. So I ended up having to transition back to animal products. And I made the transition slowly. I started with eggs and fish. And then I brought in Iowa corn-fed deer. My husband goes deer hunting every year, so we had like venison in the freezer. And then I slowly increased and brought in more regular like grocery store items. And yeah, so now I have, now that it's taken like over a year to heal my gut, I have reintroduced beans and all my vegetables, and I lean plant-based, but I still have animal products here and there.
So when you were saying the other day, which I thought was really amazing because you have not strayed from your bright lines, but during this period of time when you really had this health issue, the gut health issue, you had to eat no vegetables and you didn't even feel like you were bright anymore because, we're known for our vegetables. How did you
Right.
manage that then?
It was so hard. So I started out, my journey with the vegetables was, I tell you, my automaticity was just rocked because I had to change my food plan like every couple weeks to try and make my stomach feel
Yeah.
better because I was sick. I did not feel good. And so I started out just by having my normal vegetables. I do a 10-10 split. And by then, I think I even had more in maintenance. I think I had vegetables at breakfast, and maybe it was like 6, 12, and 12 or something like that. So I had to back off my vegetables, and I had to just really limit. So there was only like 7 or 8 vegetables I could eat, opposed to the plethora I was eating before. But then as my SIBO progressed and like the sine wave of my gut journey, there was a point where nothing was helping. And my doctor said, you are eating too much fiber to let your gut heal. You have got to just cut the fiber, go super simple, just eat meat and fat and maybe a little bit of low fiber fruits and vegetables. And I was trying and I couldn't. I ended up going 0 vegetables. So
Could
I
you
was
have
eating,
grain too then or not?
I could, yes, certain grains. So I was pretty much eating breakfast for all 3 meals, right? A protein, a grain, and a fruit, a very low FODMAP fruit. I
Wow.
was eating 3 times a day. And I know that's like, a great thing to do when you're sick, when you have the stomach flu, they recommend that. But it was like, yeah, but I was going on like 2 months I had to do this. And
Wow.
I just felt like I wasn't doing bright line eating. It didn't feel bright line eating-esque. I felt like I was cheating. I felt like I was breaking my lines. It just didn't feel congruent because we're just known for a plethora of vegetables or huge quantities of vegetables. And it was also hard because I really enjoy quantities. And I was having much lower quantities because vegetables are what kind of fluffs up our quantities. So I had to do a lot of work. I went on a couple accountability calls and got coaching. I talked with my mastermind group. And what it really came down to, which they helped me realize, was I was eating no sugar. I was eating no flour. I was having 3 meals a day with no snacking, and I was weighing and measuring all of my food. So yes, I was bright. I was following my bright lines. I had not broken my lines. Yes, my plan looked very different than others, but it's really, really helped me to be able to help others, right? Because our medical needs come first. If your doctor says, to do something like medically,
Yeah.
and it's necessary, then okay, we can make it work. And I was able to make it work. I figured it out. I sat down for 2 hours one day with my phone, my calculator, a notebook, and I wrote down in one of the apps that collects your like macronutrients and all of that. And I tracked like 3 days worth of what I ate and got a gist of, okay, this is about the normal amount of calories I eat. Because I never track that. In Bright Line Eating, we don't
Right.
have to track that. It's great. But
Right.
I did. I tracked 3 days of my calories, my macronutrients. And then I figured out, how can I eat no vegetables and get the same amount of calories in with the same amount of macronutrient split. So I'm getting the same amount of carbs to protein to fat ratio. And I played with it and messed with it. It took me 2 or 3 hours, but I figured it out. And then I said, okay, and I committed it to my mastermind group. This is going to be my no vegetable plan, and I'll get back to vegetables as soon as I
Wow.
can. This is it. So it was a
I
lot of
think you
work, but it
just
was worth
talking
it.
about this just gave permission. Like you were not well. You were
Mhm.
basically then eating breakfast 3 times a day and now you're feeling much better.
It
You're
was, yes, it was worth the work. I put in a lot of work, spent a lot of time. And then when I reintroduced my vegetables, it was literally 1 ounce at a time. The first day that I think I started with 2 ounces at lunch and 2 ounces at supper. I had my plate and I had my 2 little ounces of whatever it was. And I was like, yay.
and probably a little nervous to have
A
them.
little nervous, but it went really well because I went slow. And then like 2 weeks later, I was eating 4 and 4, and then I was eating 6 and 6, and then I stayed at 6 and 6 for a long time. So yeah, so I used the 6 and I stayed at 6 and 6 for a long time, just to make sure my tummy was good. And then I slowly started beans back in, and now I'm eating back pretty much whole plant-based. I'm eating beans 2 or 3 times a day, and
Okay.
I have to be a little careful here and there and treat my gut kind of gingerly. But yay, it's
Wow.
good, and I'm back to
You are
normal.
going to be talking about gut health at the Michigan conference. We're going to
Yes.
be there together. So
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to it. Of course, you're going to be talking much more about it, but that is a really great introduction, as far as what you personally went through
Hmm.
and how bad gut health can literally tear you apart.
Yeah.
I mean, just now, I do have a question in the chat from Shelley. Did you ever see the Monash University FODMAP diet app? Do you use that?
I have it. I use it, and I'm a health coach. I'm a nurse and a health coach, and I use it
Okay.
every day in my health coaching with my gut health clients as well. Hmm.
Okay, so that is something that you can download on your phone.
Yep. They are, so Monash University is out of Australia, and they are the ones that discovered FODMAPs and use it in treatment of IBS and SIBO. And so they have an app. It's fantastic. You have to pay for it, but it's only like $8 lifetime. You pay for it once for like $8 and it's yours forever. So I use it every day, and I recommend all my patients use it as well. And yeah, it works awesome.
Well, now that we're talking about food too,
Yeah.
how do you handle your food? I mean, you've now doing both meat and
Mhm.
everything. What are your go-tos?
Yes. So I I used to be a huge variety girl. Like every single day was completely different. Every meal was completely different when I started. That's what got me through, like knowing that I had all this wide variety. But then when the gut health journey happened, I ended up really leaning into just simplicity and routine, because I could only eat there was only a few vegetables I could eat at one point. So I was having this, like always carrots at lunch and always green beans at supper. And so, but then I kind of got used to that. And I actually now, deeper into my program, I kind of thrive on that. So, my favorite breakfast in the whole world is a sweet potato bowl that I make and my favorite thing is peanut butter powder. So I lost all my weight eating peanut butter, regular jarred, just peanuts and salt peanut butter, for breakfast most days. But once I got into maintenance, it was messing with my weight creep a little bit, and I discovered peanut butter powder, which is great but comes with caution. Like if it doesn't do well for you, to stay away. But that's kind of how nuts are in general for people. For some people, they're a little too snacky. But for me, I've always done well with it. So peanut butter powder is peanuts that have been powderized and like the fat has been removed. There's still a little fat, so it's much higher in protein and
Oh,
lower in fat. So I feel great about using it as a protein because it's way higher in protein, lower in fat. And it's kind of like, so Susan Pierce Thompson recommends complement protein powder. It's in the realm of protein powder. It's a protein powder, but it's made of peanuts instead of pea or whey or whatever. And so I put a couple crunches of salt in it and maybe a little sprinkle of cinnamon, and then mix water in with it. And you can make it into a paste and spread it on rice cakes, or I have this big bowl and I mix it, and I've got it makes a lot. Quantities girl here. It makes much larger volume than jarred peanut butter. And I put roasted sweet potatoes and fruit, all different fruit depending on the season. And I
right in
mix
the
it all
bowl.
up. Oh my goodness. And I mix it all up together, and it's like soupy and mushy and just absolutely delicious. So that's my favorite go-to breakfast.
So do you eat that warm then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the sweet potatoes are warm. The fruit is just,
Okay.
it's always 3 ounces of banana and 3 ounces of something else. That's always my go-to.
Nice.
So yeah, oftentimes by that time I'm eating it, the sweet potatoes have cooled down. So it's kind of room temperature. Yeah. So, and then my suppers,
That's your
that's my breakfast.
staple breakfast.
Staple
Okay.
breakfast, yes. And then my supper, I always eat a dump bowl. I call it a dump bowl. So I just take all my food, dump it in a bowl, and mix it together. And there were some pictures of them that went by on the slideshow. But
Yeah.
I get my whatever protein I'm having. So tonight I had salmon burgers, and I had those in there. And then I had my roasted green beans and broccoli and cauliflower and some collard greens. And then I have my fat, which is usually extra virgin olive oil, and then I make homemade marinara, and I put that all together, mix up with a little seasoning and salt, and I just mix it all up and I eat it like that. Like every time I make myself a plate with something, I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. And I go dump it in a bowl and mix it all together and I eat all of it together. I just love the melding of flavors.
Then it does look so good, everything that you sent me. And you said that you do really do a lot of prepping too.
Yes.
So
So
that
I
doesn't
do,
just happen. You actually
right.
plan for it. And you're a busy mom.
Mm-hmm.
You work. So
Full-time working mom.
so
I
when do
have
you have
very
time to
little
do all
time.
this prepping and what do you do?
Yeah, so like in my fridge right now, you will see multiple containers of different vegetables. So I have roasted green beans, roasted carrots, I love roasting my vegetables. Cauliflower and broccoli. I've got some kubochu squash, some delicata squash, all of them already in there. So I do what I call Food Factory Sunday. So I have to do things very methodically for me to be able to fit all of my life together. I'm very busy. I have two active kids. I have a husband. I have a job. Um,
You have a
and
huge Instagram following. You're
and I
doing all
yep,
that.
I live my life on Instagram and Facebook for others to see.
Yeah.
Yes. So I it's very methodical. My husband's very supportive. He does not do bright line eating, but he is very supportive of this journey of mine. And so I make sure that I spend some time on Saturday meal planning. So I meal plan for my family. I write down every single thing that's going in every person in the house mouth so that I make sure that I can make an accurate grocery list.
Mm-hmm.
By the time Saturday rolls around, Saturday, Sunday, when it's time to grocery shop, my kitchen is bare. That's one of the beautiful things about meal planning and bright line eating. I don't waste food. I buy what I'm planning to make, and I don't buy extra fluff like, oh, this might sound good later. Nope. I buy what we're planning on eating. So Saturday I plan. Sunday my family goes to church, we eat lunch, and then I grocery shop. When I come home, my husband takes care of the kids and I spend 3 to 4 hours meal prepping. I call it Food Factory Sunday. I've got my air fryer going, my oven going. I wash all my fruits and get them in containers. I prep all the raw veggies for the kids' lunches to be packed for. I'm making proteins and vegetables, and I do all that work really intensely for 3 hours, get it all done. So my fridge goes from completely bare to packed full of containers so that when Monday rolls around, all I have to do is grab things, dump it in my bowl, because then I cook my meals for my family and my food is already totally good to go. I don't have to cook my food. My
Yeah.
food's ready and I can focus on cooking a healthy meal for my family.
So you cook for the family the day of, but
Yeah.
yours is already done on Sunday, and you
Mhm.
can just cobble things together. So it sounds like you batch cook certain items, like you roast this, you roast that. They're not like just all mixed together, so you can pull from
Right.
different
Yep.
times.
So if one day I feel like having the carrots and green bean combo in my dump bowl, great. And then the next day, maybe I'm going to have broccoli, cauliflower, and peas. And then the next day, I'm going to do, you know, corn and bell peppers and do it more Mexican style. Yeah. So it's
Nice.
very much like I just get a ton of vegetables in the fridge. And then I've done this for so long, I'm very good about knowing how much I'll need for the week. But, sometimes things cook down less or cook up more. My family decides to eat some of it, which I'm never going to tell my family no to eating vegetables, even if they're
Right.
mine. So I always, always, always buy extra frozen vegetables and have just piles of bags of the microwavable, steamable bag frozen vegetables. And then if I'm getting low, I'll just do a little extra meal prep during the week, or while I'm cooking their food, I'll just throw it in the oven. Because frozen steamable bags, I just dump them on parchment paper on a cookie sheet and put them in the oven and they roast like any other roasted vegetables. It's fantastic. All the
Oh,
prep's been done. All I have to do is dump it, put it in the oven. I'm good to go.
you don't have to do a thing to it. Just dump it on. That's such a great idea. It's kind of
Yeah,
like an emergency action
it
plan
is. I
ahead
call
of
it my
time.
fast food, like my emergency food, my emergency fast food. Like I don't need to go to a fast food restaurant if the day is getting away
Oh,
from me. If I don't have anything to eat, technically, like I can always get a bag of frozen vegetables and a can of beans and I'm good to go.
that's fantastic. And I can't imagine the peace of mind that you have knowing your food's set. Like you've
Hmm.
taken care of you so you can take care of others with ease. But
Yep.
I'm wondering now, you don't put your meals together until you actually eat. Do you keep a food
Correct.
journal then, or is it just
I
Instagram
do.
or
Yes,
okay?
I keep a food journal. I write my food down the night before every single night. And I've been doing that from day one, so over 1,000 days. And I didn't show you this, but I made my
Wow.
own food journal. So
Wow.
I love pretty things. I love pretty things. So I made a pretty food journal. It says healthy looks good on you, 2023. And I created all of this on Canva and it's pretty. Look, see how
No
pretty it
kidding.
is. So I have my date, my bright days, my maintenance days, my meals, and then extra stuff I track like my water, my exercise, my workout, my prayer and Bible time. So yeah, so I live with my food journal is a huge part of my habit stack in the evening. I sit down and I write everything out. Even if it's the exact same thing I ate yesterday, I'm going to sit and write it out. It's my form of self-commitment to myself that this is the food I'm going to eat.
So, I mean, that's like putting again yourself, you take care of you, and then you take care of all these other people
Yeah.
beyond you. So, but you mentioned something about exercise just now.
Yeah.
We got to get into that because I know that's a really big part of your life too. You got in a little sooner than what some do, right?
Yeah, so
With
I had been
exercise.
well, and I stopped when I first started Bright Line Eating. I took Susan's word. I thought if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do exactly what she says because I want this to work. I was desperate. So I had been doing exercise for about 2 years before maybe 3 years before I started Bright Line Eating. I started running, I started weightlifting, and I never thought I would be an exerciser. I hated exercise, but the more I did it, the more I enjoyed it. But I was definitely using it to lose weight. And I was like, okay, I'm going to follow her instructions. So I stopped cold turkey, which was actually pretty wonderful. It was this
Yes,
very much the bunny slipper, right? Just take care of
right.
yourself, whatever. At
No
5 months,
guilt, like
yeah,
none.
yeah. And the weight came off. I didn't need to exercise. 5 months in, though, she was, she had said, you do it until things are automatic. Well, at 5 months, I felt like things were automatic and I was kind of getting the itch to move my body. And I started, and it did not go well at all. I felt really like lightheaded and dizzy. And I was like, this is not working. And I was having to get up really early before school. And I was a school nurse at that time. And so I thought, you know what, never mind. I'm going to wait until it was like March or April. So I was like, I'm going to wait until school's out when I'm home with the kids for the summer on school break, and then I'll really focus on it. So that's what I did. So I took a pause, just kept doing my weight loss plan. And then June 1st, when school was done, I started another exercise program. And I felt lightheaded and dizzy again. And I would see black when I would go from sitting to standing, I would see
Wow,
black.
that's not
Like
good.
multiple times a day. It was crazy. Yes. So I was like, okay, thinking this through, like what's going on. There was at that time zero information about exercise with Bright Line Eating. Susan had done no vlogs. There was no workshops. There was no information whatsoever. I was not in the membership at that time. So I couldn't go on an accountability call and ask for coaching because that's what people did at that time. There was no information. They would just call in for coaching. So I knew that, okay, my body is not like I'm depleted. Like I don't have enough energy. Like I need to add more food. So that's what I did. So I took little teeny tiny baby steps and I started with a half protein at breakfast. And I felt a little bit better, but I was still having my energy was better, but I was still seeing black from sitting to standing. And I thought, okay, the protein helped a little bit. I know protein makes sense. I'm building muscle mass. Okay, got it. But how do I get myself past this like almost dizzy passing out stage? So then I tried multiple things, but I finally landed on that seemed to work really good for my body and I kept losing weight even though it was slower was half a protein at breakfast and a half a grain at lunch.
Hmm.
And that's what I needed. That was my sweet spot. And I went really slow, trial and error. And it didn't mess with my program. Like it was very like intentional, like, okay, like I need to do this so I'm healthy and I don't pass out. Like it made sense. Like I was a little nervous about adding food, but it went really well. And once I found that rhythm, that was good. And I just hunkered on that. That was my then weight loss plan. I called them exercise ads. Not everybody that exercises needs
Oh,
an ad.
yeah.
But some people do, and you just have to, it's kind of trial and error. But now, since then, Susan Pierce Thompson has put out a vlog on exercise, and she has now in the membership has a full workshop, like two-hour workshops. I was a panelist on it. It was really fun to talk to her about exercise, and it talks all about like what to do when you're exercising on Bright Lineating and the different ways you can exercise, but also like how you feel your body and how you stay bright and all of this. So that was really, really helpful.
And it makes perfect sense to actually pay attention to the food part, because what good is it if you're going to just totally go in the ditch?
Mm-hmm.
Because, and that was the idea, I believe, to not exercise. You have
Right.
to get your body strengthened first and your mind, this neural pathway stuff.
Right. And like when you really think about the concept of exercising on Bright Line Eating, the only reason I was exercising was for strength, for health, for bone density, for muscle mass, for mental health. It wasn't for weight loss.
Right.
So when you're exercising and burning more calories, you actually need to fuel yourself. And Susan said one time somewhere, I don't know when, she said, no fair to your body to add exercise and not add food. I was
I
like,
like
okay,
that.
yep, I take it. I
Because
took it and I
you
ran with
talk
it.
about yo-yo dieting. I'm like totally tracking with you on
Mhm.
that. Like, but the thing was, I had like diet mentality in my head. And the thing is like, okay, if you think about it, you restrict calories and you're dieting, eat less and exercise more. And it's like, that's really not going to be helpful after a while. It's not
Right.
sustainable.
It's not sustainable, right? You might see some results right away, but you're going to peter out and crash and burn.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Mhm.
how many times have we heard that phrase? Eat less,
Less,
exercise
exercise
more.
more.
So your body's totally not used to either. So let's put those together.
And see how long you can carry on. It's not
Yeah.
gonna be
Well,
very
about
long.
3 weeks,
Yeah.
10 pounds, and then
Yep.
get back off.
And then put on 15. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've done that a lot. So anyway, you have really been able to maintain this now. You've been in maintenance. You've kept your lines bright
Mhm.
through all of that
Yep.
and through all of, life stuff going on. So now, you must have a ton of non-scale victories that you've had because what did you begin at? I don't know if you even said, what did you start out at?
230.
230. Okay. And
Mhm.
lost how much? Do you mind saying?
Yeah, I lost between 80 and 90 pounds. My range, I have a 10-pound range. And yeah, I'm anywhere from 140 to 150.
Wow, that's incredible. And you've been able to maintain that exercise and do all the
Mhm.
things. Do you find like it's kind of just unbelievable after the years of what you went
Yeah, I actually was getting quite emotional looking at that. I mean, I even sent those pictures to you, but seeing them up there, like it's it just boggles my mind that like I almost don't remember what it was like before this, but I also like it just feels like yesterday. It's just it's so surreal because I'm the same person, but I'm completely a new person. Like it's
Yeah.
all these things wrapped up in one. And it just, I'm so grateful for what Bright Line Eating has given me and my mental clarity. And I went back to school and got my health coaching certificate and because I had space in my brain with the food chatter gone that I could do that. And working on making my like a business right now. And like it's just there's just so much more space. And it hasn't been easy. I'm not going to ever put on, you know,
Pretending.
Yeah, like it has been challenging. There have been challenges. I'm in a season of challenge right now, um, as well. And it's just not like I can't even fathom, like I'm just so tender with my program because this would, when things are challenging, it would be easy. But then besides dealing with the heart of life, I'd have to deal with the heart of breaking my lines and feeling the weight of food chatter and the mental prison I had before. And I would so rather go through life just having to deal with one heart and not two.
Well, you know what? You just said that. And you know how you said like you didn't want to bother your husband with, all the stuff. I didn't either. I practiced for 3 weeks, not even telling my husband because I just couldn't bear it. I just couldn't
Yeah.
bear talking about it again that I'm starting another diet because it was constant, just constant. But
Mm-hmm.
you know what really hit me was you talk about hard. Here I was practicing. And then one day, I wish I would have written who it was, but they posted a meme on Facebook and it said, losing weight is hard. Being overweight is hard.
Choose
Choose
your
your
heart.
hard. And I'm
Yep.
like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
it's time to decide
Mm-hmm.
because both of these things are hard.
Yep.
But
Anything worth having is worth working for, is hard. Most things in life, right? Being a mom is really hard, but it's wonderful. Being a wife is really hard. Working a job really well and doing a good job is hard, but it's wonderful. Like these good things in life are worth working for, and they're challenging, but that makes them even that more sweet.
yeah, yeah, because you can feel the success. And even like you saying, like to your good friends in the Bible study, you really like pouring out your heart, and telling you're just in this vulnerable state. I can just like picture it and probably the amazement and shock. And thinking of those words that you were saying, like I'm hiding in the bathroom. I mean, like that's not normal behavior. But for many people, that is normal, and then you just like step back and like think, wow, I can't
Yeah.
believe that how many times I made a trip to the break room. I mean, I was right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally
And
get
that's why I started getting so vocal about not just posting my pictures of my food anymore. I started sharing all of this stuff on Instagram to the whole world, no filters, because people kept like messaging me, "Oh, you haven't broken your lines. Like, how do you do it?" And it's so hard. And we formed this little beautiful community on Instagram. We call it the Graham fam, the BLE Graham fam. It's a
Is
wonderful
that a
little
private
community.
club like you have to?
No. It's just all of us. We just post and follow each other and message each other. It's great. Um,
Oh, so is it an Instagram group like, or is it just secret,
it's
like
it's it's just like
people just chatting? Like, okay,
yeah. We do a hashtag BLE Graham Fam, so everybody
okay,
follows that hashtag, and we welcome new people and people. It's just kind of more of a community culture on Instagram.
okay. I'll have to
Um,
look for it.
Yeah, it's
Sounds
it's
great.
just beautiful and we just love each other and share stuff. But and it's I just wanted to start shouting it from the mountaintops, like because I knew I discovered I wasn't the only one, right? We oftentimes think we're the unicorn, we're this magical person, no one gets it. And then you get into Bright Lane Eating, you're like, oh, look at all these other crazy people,
Oh
like
my
we're all
word.
crazy together.
I know.
And
It's a
and
beautiful thing.
it's so beautiful. But I was like, okay, so there's other people like before Linnea that are out there feeling like death and misery and thinking they're alone. And so I started shouting it from the rooftops, sharing all of my struggles, all of my successes, what food addiction looks like, and just hoping that people and could find Bright Line Eating because I didn't find it. Like I really just wanted to spread the word. So it
Yeah,
became this whole thing. And now I
yeah.
share like my whole life on there. I never thought I'd be one of those people. And here I am. And I
Here
love
you
it.
are. Yeah, I never thought I would be one of those people either. Okay, I have a question in the chat before I totally like
Yeah.
forget all about that. What is your height?
5'8".
Okay. And Rachel says she really believes the transparency brings healing to others. I truly believe that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so I do have a couple more questions, and one
Okay.
of them really, I kind of alluded to it. With all of this, there must be some amazing non-scale victories. What would you say they are for you?
Oh, yeah.
It's not
Um,
just about losing the weight, is it?
well, and the weight was huge. Like that, I definitely, if you've maybe heard the saying, we come for the vanity and stay for the sanity. I
Yeah.
love that. It's so true. Because I wanted to lose weight, but I also really wanted the chatter. And so like the brain calming, like not being tortured by food is my absolute number one NSV. The not being like, and I still have food thoughts here and there, like once an addict, always an addict, I feel. And so I definitely still, but it's not that torturous. It's most days are clear and concise, and my brain just works, and it's just fantastic. So that's my number one. Um, Going back to school was another huge one for me, like having that ability to go back to school. Um, One of my favorites is, like just not even thinking about my body. When I was heavy, it was constantly, how's my clothes fitting? Like, are my pants over my rolls? Like sitting down and adjusting my shirt and sitting there thinking like, what do I look like? Where should my arms be? Like constantly thinking about my body taking up space. And now I just put on my clothes and go. Like it, that to me
The
is
one
so
size.
amazing. The one size, they fit. I just go, I sit down. I don't adjust myself. I just sit there. Like I don't think about my belly hanging over. And I might still a little bit. Like I've got a little stuff left around my tummy and a little extra loose skin, but like I just feel comfortable in my clothes. Like that I didn't even know what that could even possibly feel like. And now that I felt that, it's just like I don't care. Like it's golden.
It's
Um,
amazing.
yeah.
I'm
And
not even at maintenance, and it's amazing.
right. Yes.
Just,
Like just the journey, like, yeah, every stage, just,
mhm,
yeah.
yeah,
And then I have so my favorite NSV, I say they're all my favorite. They're all my favorites, but I have built ridiculously amazing, close, deep, intense, intimate friendships through people through a screen. And all of
yeah,
them started on Instagram. And that social media could have um, done that for me at Bright Line Eating and meeting these people. I mean, my best friends in Canada, and we've met twice in the last 2 years. We've gotten together. My beautiful mastermind sisters, these other friends that I have that like we just go deep. Like you
yeah,
just don't even mince words. There's just this amazing knowing that we have this really intense journey that is shared in
yeah.
common, and you just automatically feel comfortable going deep. And I just have amazing friendships through Brightline Eating, and I just feel so blessed for the people that I've met and that are in my inner circle.
Wow. And I can't wait to meet you in person this
I know, I'm so
weekend.
excited to
And
meet
all
so many
these
more
wonderful
Brightline
people
Eaters.
at Michigan Brightest, some of them here. I mean, like, we're gonna have so much fun.
I'm so excited.
I am so excited too. So here we are, the very last question. And this might be the most important at all, the crazy brain and all the stuff that you were going through, before you got started, really realizing, you were a food addict without anybody labeling that for you. What would you say to someone right now who is looking at this, listening to you and thinking, but could I do it too? Could I have this success too? What would you say to them?
You don't know unless you try. I did not have success when I said no, thank you to Brightline Eating. I did not. When I looked at it and I was scared and I put it away, I gained more weight. It
Mm,
wasn't until I gave it a try. And just give it your absolute all for like 3 months. Just give it a try. walk all the way in and sit all the way down is something we say in Bright Line Eating, because some people, dibble dabble, like just do the first 2 lines or just do a little bit of this, but that doesn't give you peace. Doing all of the things is what brings the brain peace, and use it as medicine. This is truly every day I take my medicine. I take my Bright Line Eating food addiction recovery medicine, because I truly believe I need it, like to stay healthy and well and not be sick. And, taking medicine isn't always fun. It's not saying that you're going to it's this beautiful, amazing, immediate, crazy transformation. That's why I have to give it some time, but do it all. Go all in for a certain amount of time and give it a try, because what are you going to lose? 3 months of not eating NMF or pizza or ice cream? We've all had 5 people's lifetime worth of all that food, right?
Yeah.
I've had enough of that food for 5 lifetimes. I will be okay for 3 months. And when that 3 months is over, then you decide, what about tomorrow? And maybe just do it one more day, and one more day after that, and one more day after that. And the peace comes.
Wow. Linnea, what a great night with you. I mean, thank you so much for sharing your story and all of this inspiration. You truly are an ambassador, which you are.
I am. I'm a Bright Line Eating ambassador.
And I am so glad about that. I'm so glad that our paths have crossed. And you know what? Healthy really does look good on you.
Oh, thank you, Noreen.
I love that story behind the name. It's just so sweet. Now, and you think of your mom every time, right? That you see it.
Yep.
So anyway, with all of that, again, I look forward to meeting you in a few days at the Michigan Brightest.
Yes. Can I share something real quick?
Sure.
Before we are done, I learned this today. And I know this will be just for people, if you're watching this, down the road, it won't apply to you. But today is September 27th, 2023. And they just opened up the application process for scholarships for Boot Camp 2.0. So if you thought about doing boot camp with Bright Line Eating and you have not done it because of your financial resources, they are giving 10 full rides, 10 of them. So 10 people fill out the application and they will give a full ride, a full scholarship for Boot Camp 2.0 starting at the end of October. So Susan's put out a vlog today. The link is in her vlog, or you can just go to Bright Line Eating and look up scholarship, type in Bright Line Eating scholarship. And it's transformative. It's yes, I did started Bright Line Eating on my own, just with the 14-day challenge. But
you did that.
And stuff. And I did it, but my program was immensely up-leveled, and I got so much more out of joining the membership and being part of the bigger community of like-minded people. So just wanted to share that. If you thought about it,
because people can go
10 people get to go. Yep. 10 people get free rides for Boot Camp 2.0. So go apply.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yes.
And we're going to follow you on Instagram.
Awesome. Come say hi.
Healthy looks good on you. And also for those who would like to get more information about exercising, your Facebook group is called Bright Movers.
Bright Movers. Yep. So there's me and a couple other admins. We're not professionals. Actually, one of my admins is a professional exerciser. She's a trained yoga instructor and a running coach. But we're just all there to support each other to stay bright while we exercise. That's
great.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got all of that, and we will see each other this weekend. So with that, I'm going to close as I do each week. Good night. Stay bright. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Good night, everybody. So, Linnea, how would you like to play 3-Question Thursday?
Hit me. Let's do it.
Okay. 3-Question Thursday, where nobody knows, including me, what I'm going to ask you. Okay. But, when we talked the other day, and we didn't get to this, you're a big Aldi's fan.
I am a huge Aldi fan.
But we never talked about, what do you get there?
I get everything, all my vegetables, all my fruits. They have tofu. My Aldi has amazing tofu. They have, one of my favorite things is their 100% grass-fed organic beef. It is so good, and it is such an amazing price, better than any other place I've ever found like really high quality beef. It's absolutely the best. Love their organic tofu. I get the almond milk for my family, but I don't, some people do almond milk for which now is a condiment.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just always so impressed with their fruits and vegetables. Let's see, what else do I get at Aldi? Yeah, man.
That's,
Oh, the rice cakes for breakfast. I'll do like my peanut butter I'll mix up, put on my
yeah.
rice cakes with my bananas.
And do
Yeah,
you get the
such
peanut
good
butter
stuff.
there too? That dried peanut
I
butter?
do. They have organic, just peanut butter that the only ingredients are peanut and salt. And that's what my kids eat too. My kids don't eat junk peanut butter. They eat real good, high quality peanut butter.
So that's the when you have it already made, but you get
Yes, but I
the
personally
dry.
like getting the peanut butter powder. I get that on Amazon.
Okay. All right. Well, good to know.
Yeah.
So, you know, at this Michigan's Brightest, there's going to be a clothing swap. What did you do with all your clothing? Did you,
Yeah.
you're down to
So
one size, right?
I'm down to, well, I keep two sizes for the fluctuations and things, just so I'm comfortable, because we need to be comfortable. But no, I started at a size, my heaviest, I was in a size 20, 22, and I'm down to a size 4. So that was a lot of sizes I went through. Yeah.
Yeah.
So but I had yo-yo dieted so long that I had 12s through 20. I had all of those. So, but once I got down to 12, and then I was like, I'm still losing weight. What's happening? Like, I've never seen my body look like this. Then my mom, bless her soul, she did tailoring for me. She took all my clothes in. I did buy some new pants, but she took all my dress shirts in for work. And then so she got me from like the large size 12 down into like, she took everything in down to a medium.
Wow.
And then when I needed to go to small and size 4, then I started doing a lot of thrift store shopping. Most all of my clothes, this is from a thrift store. I've got hand-me-downs from my sister-in-law. I've got hand-me-downs from other people. I'm not above thrift store and hand-me-downs. I have very few items that are brand new in my now size. But then when I got rid of everything. I got rid of it all. I've not kept any of it. I have sent some things to consignment, but I had a friend in town that was going through her own weight loss journey, and I was ahead of her. And so I was able to gift her my sizes that she was shrinking into. So that was
makes
really
everything better.
It was so special being able to like, I don't have anything to bring to the clothing swap, but I did that myself, and it was so wonderful. And I love the idea of it, because being able to gift someone, because it's expensive, like having to get a new wardrobe every 6 months, right? It's expensive.
Yeah.
So I was really thrilled I was able to support a friend by giving her a lot of my clothes.
So here's the last question. This is for all the money, all the marbles. When you think about you starting in that November, and you're ready to embark on this 14-day challenge that you got into, but what your mindset was at that point, what would you say to that, Linnea?
I would tell her she is just as worthy today as she will be in 1 year, because I still have issues and still have inner work around accepting who I was at a heavier body size. And she loathed herself. And she didn't think she was worthy of being a nurse and being in the healthcare system, being overweight and unhealthy. She didn't think she was, she just really felt so much shame around this addiction, and just the pride I have in her. Like, she is the one that made that big decision and stuck it out and locked herself in her room at night when the kids were in bed so that she wouldn't walk into the kitchen, and paced on the floor in her bedroom and repeated mantras over and over and over in her head, and went to bed early to keep out of the kitchen, and did the really, really hard work those first few months, and it paid off. And I am here because of the hard work that she did.
Oh, man. Now I got to ask you what mantras were going in your head.
Yeah.
So here's question number 4.
Yes. My two favorites. Nobody ever died from starvation between supper and breakfast. I would say that over and over and over. And I would say to myself, you are an addict. Just like an alcoholic cannot have one drink, you cannot have one bite. You are an addict. You cannot have one bite. You are an addict. You cannot have one bite. And it sounds harsh, but for me, it wasn't harsh. It was reality. Like, don't even try one bite, Linnea. Like, it'll take you down a place you don't want to be. And if you can just get through tonight without taking a bite, you will wake up tomorrow proud. And you know what? I did. I just got goosebumps. I have never cheered myself on and felt pride, and like self-awareness like I did that first year of weight loss. I would wake up after feeling rough the night before, wanting, having the itch, the addict brain wanting all the things. And I would wake up feeling so proud of myself. Like, I did it. I survived, and I'm doing just fine, and I'm going to do it again today. And
I got chills.
Right? Like, I couldn't believe like how my self-talk escalated during that year. And I mean, I still have ways to go. I still go back into poor self-talk, and then I have to re-up myself. But I cheered myself on. I was doing it by myself. I had no community those first 5 months. It was just me, and I cheered myself on. And I did, like, I'm so proud of that. And that really got me through, giving myself permission to be proud of myself.
Oh, and what you do now for so many, so many, you are that steady voice cheering them on. What a beautiful thing you've done. You've just given such a gift to the community. So many people who look forward to seeing what you're posting. Hope you don't feel pressure on that.
I love it.
Just keep enjoying it, and because I could see on your postings the joy coming through, and not every day is like happy day, but that's reality too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your story, your information, your inspiration, and thank you for playing 4-Question Thursday. It's actually Wednesday, though.
It is Wednesday, yes.
But you couldn't do Thursday, so
I have to do all of my food prep because I'm bringing every morsel of food I'm eating, putting in my body for Michigan. I'm driving 7 hours to get to Michigan from Iowa. Wow. And I am bringing my great big camping cooler with all of my food so I can stay free.
My gosh. Well, I can't wait to meet you in person in just a couple of days. And there's some great people here tonight who are going to be there too.
Yay, I can't wait to meet you all.
And good night, everybody. Stay bright.